Alrighty guys, hopefully this is working. We'll find out very shortly. This is the first stream I've been able to do on our new internet here at the Makers Muse studio. So let me know if the audio is okay, let me know if the internet connection is okay. I really hope it is, because if not, we might have a problem. I've pushed it up to 5,000 bit rate, which lets me stream at 1080p. I got NTW, welcome, good to see you, awesome. Seems to be working pretty good. So, basically, yeah, I haven't been able to stream for a very, very long time because we haven't had any internet, like landline internet, for 2 months or something. So I've been running off 4G, which usually works pretty good for streams, and that's what I used to use for streams. But recently, as you would have seen in the 101 Hero, assembly video, which I streamed, it was very flaky. So yeah, that's so it's a big improvement. Apparently I'm in the top 99% of Australia now, which is pathetic because I'm only on 100 megabits per second only. Cool, so we got people in the chat, everything's working pretty good. And I'm going to pop the chat out so I can try to follow it. So, because I wasn't sure if this was going to work, and because I haven't been able to do a stream for a long time, this is pretty much going to be a Q&A, and also I'm going to run you through some of the things we've been working on, some of the things you can look forward to on the channel, and also the channel has just exploded recently, so there's a lot of new subscribers, so I will try to keep up the chat. I have no idea how this is going to go, so let me pop that out. And yes, it is a new angle, I suppose. I'm not happy with how the set's currently over there, but this is my workbench, so I just moved it to face this. Cool. So apparently it's working perfectly, which is super cool because it's on my laptop as well, which means it's portable, which means I can go to events. No, I can't because the internet there will be different. Well, it means I can stream from my laptop, which is very, very cool. It looked like I just woke up. That's because I did, Luke. I had a shower and now I'm here streaming, which is what I do. Cool, so shoot through questions. What's my favorite color? My favorite color is gray. Well, my favorite filament color is gray. Yep, Joel did indeed print a bacon play button, NTW bacon play button. If you guys haven't seen Joel's channel, 3D Printing Nerd, I'm sure most of you have. He recently went to the proto plant, which is Protopasta, and got some custom bacon filament made. It's not real bacon, it's like fake bacon powder, and he printed a play button with it, which looks awesome. So saying I can stream at 250 to 500 bit rate for 1080p. Oh, okay, appreciate that. Well, it seems to be handling 5,000 quite fine. Where in Australia are you? I am in, well, technically it's still Sydney, but I can't really go into any more specifics than that for obvious security reasons. What machine is sitting next to the door? That is the ZMorph. So I recently reviewed that as a 3D printer, and it's just been absolutely torrential rain here. Like, Sydney had floods in the main CBD not too long ago. So I've been trying to find time to use the CNC attachments because it can take a CNC or I guess routing milling head, but it's very loud and a little bit messy. So I need to take it outdoors, and it obviously needs to be not raining for me to take a 3D printer or CNC machine outdoors. Joe is asking direct or Bowden feed extruder and why. I get asked that a lot. It's really down to what the machine design is and your preferences. Either can work well. I prefer direct drive because there's less slop in the mechanism, but a well-tuned Bowden can also work very well. Just look at the Ultimakers. They use Bowden, albeit with 2.85mm filament seems to work a little bit better than 1.75 in a Bowden setup, but the print head's lighter, so you can get away with a lighter frame. So in some machines it's okay, but for flexible materials and exotic things, I wouldn't go with Bowden, I'd go with a direct driven extruder. Favorite domestic animal? Thanks for that, Bohan. Cat. I like cats. I'm allergic to cats, but I like cats. So I just didn't get through here. Chondo's asking the Robo 3D R2 and my thoughts on it. I don't have too much thoughts on it, to be honest. I wasn't too impressed that they kickstarted it when they have quite a lot of money, but it was more like a pre-order, I think, and we're starting to see them ship out to people now. So it looks pretty, but I don't know. Maybe not too, maybe, yeah, I don't know. Not for me. Have I burnt the 101 Hero yet? The 101 Hero campaign is definitely in a death spiral. If you go over to their Kickstarter, people are just like, they're either getting machines that are destroyed or they're getting machines that, they destroy themselves, and there's no correspondence with 101 at all. They're just silent. So yeah, it's sitting on its shelf. It looks interesting. It's a nice bright orange, even though I wanted red printer. But apart from that, it's more of a curiosity. It's never going to print accurately. Mike is asking a Cetus question. That's cool. Okay, so do you find your Cetus prints have zits? So by zits, I assume you mean the start and stop of each perimeter around the print. No, I don't. That's considering you can't change anything in the Up Studio software, which is really annoying. Having zits may be a temperature issue. You might be printing a bit too hot for your filament, or they've changed something recently and I haven't seen that. But I don't usually have any issues with perimeters starting and stopping. Although I have only run a few brands of PLA through. I've run their own brand. I've run, what else? Filamentive's recycled PLA works, and also Wanhouse for some reason works. But I haven't had any issues. Oh, and also the 3D printer has a fantastic range of premium generic filament that works very well on it. Nero's asking, could you talk about what problems and possibilities are with printing really large layer heights over 2 millimeters? Definitely. I am experimenting with extrusion width at the moment. And one of my other buddies on YouTube, which is Aiden, he runs the XYZ Aiden channel. He is experimenting with a 2 millimeter diameter nozzle. So you have to think you're melting a load more filament at a time than a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. So it means you can lay down more in theory, but then you have to pump more heat into that plastic to melt it at the same speed. So most machines have to slow down their speed, their print speed, to actually function with those larger diameters. So although you will get larger layer heights as well, you have to slow down. So it's kind of I guess you need to find an equilibrium or a good balance between the two. Although there is some printers out there with custom design extruders designed for high speed, thick layer heights, like the more extruder, which is the Lolspot one, designed for just whacking down thick lines really quickly. You definitely can do it, but most machines, if you stick a massive nozzle on where it usually has a 0.4, you're not going to find you get a very good result. It just can't pump the heat into it fast enough. We got Vectory in here. Awesome. Now I have fast internet. I can finally use your software properly. Because I haven't had any internet, I haven't been able to use any cloud-based software. So yeah, thanks guys. I really appreciate you dropping in. Joe's asking, any experience printing PEEK? Yeah, well, considering most hot ends, like the Cetus, is insulated with PEEK, it's not going to be the easiest material to print. I haven't printed myself. I have gone up to polycarbonates. I haven't printed anything beyond those temperatures, so 270 or so. PEEK needs 3 something, and most hot ends just can't even come close. And then you need an actively heated chamber. I don't care what anyone else says. You can have an enclosure, but that enclosure has to be hot. You're looking at like 80 degrees or something, I would say, with a hotbed of maybe 150 degrees. Something ridiculously hot to stick that stuff down, because it will just warp away. But I haven't done it myself, and also there's some health risks concerned with melting PEEK or burning PEEK. So definitely keep that in mind as well. Instamatic898, love the channel, thank you very much. What's your advice on getting good bed adhesion with ABS? So you're currently using Kapton film on glass. I would get rid of the Kapton film because no one uses that crap anymore. It's too much of a pain to stick down, and then every time you pull a print off, it just pulls the Kapton off with it. It's just too thin. If you have a heated plate, if the bed is heated, you can print ABS directly onto heated glass, but you need to get it to 100 degrees and keep it there stable. You can use adhesive things like glue sticks, hairsprays. I never use hairspray. or products like Magigoo, which are purpose-made glues. But I would honestly say, I mean, some people in the chat might disagree, but I would say get some Build Tack or PEI over that glass. That's what I've had the best success with. This is PEI on the Mark II, and that will do ABS, but not full bed volume because it's exposed to the elements and you do get warping. Oh my God, I'm so far back in the chat, I'm sorry. Aaron, will I be getting a CR10? Not at this stage. Press Nova press resets covering that market pretty well, and I don't have room for it. Sorry, see if I can find where the chat starts again. I saw something about a giveaway. Yes, I'm doing a giveaway for 50,000 subs once I sew up just a few loose ends. All right, so I have to go right down the bottom. Sorry if I missed your questions. Brian's asking, any tricks on getting retraction to work with a Bowden? I have an E3D Titan and an E3D V6 and getting little bits of plastic falling around the print bed. Little bits of plastic falling around the print bed could be one of two things. Check that your nozzle is tight into the throat of the machine and make sure there's no plastic leaking out of the extruder. I have seen that. Especially with Bowdens, you often need to have very high pressures to make them work efficiently. But you may need to increase your retract distance to make the Bowden work effectively and increase your retract speed. Don't be afraid to put a ridiculously high speed in. If your machine can handle it, which your Titan should be able to, then you should be able to pull filament back quickly, which will relieve that pressure quickly. And therefore you shouldn't get the string issues. But again, with Bowden, it can be tricky. Daniel's asking, am I going to do a BattleBots Robo Wars 3D printing mashup video? Yes, I am. I can't show you, but stay tuned. Absolutely, there's going to be some robot stuff coming soon. Josh, will I get the TiVo Little Monster? I have no idea what the TiVo Little Monster is. If that's a new Delta, I haven't really looked into it too much. And at this stage, no. I am doing some stuff with my Tarantula at the moment to, I guess, heavily modify would be an understatement, because I never made a part 2 for that video for a few reasons, and you'll see that very shortly. Zishan is asking what printer did I use for the hinges. The recent hinges video I did, I used the Prusa Mark II, which is this one, and the hinges are here. They're a bit like those new, what do they call them? Fidget spinners. They're like fidget hinges. But I used the Prusa Mark II in eSun Pink PLA, and for the live hinge, which is that one, that's a nylon, and nylon, you really need a really high temperature print chamber. So I used the Up Mini 2, and that worked pretty well. Hey, Sam, yes, I do remember you. It's been a long time since National Manufacturing Week, but nice to see you here. Yeah, BattleBots Robo Wars talk. Yeah, Ellis, you know all about Robo Wars and BattleBots. So Ian's saying you bought a RepRap kit 4 years ago. It was junk and never worked. Yeah, the kits of that era were just shite. They were really bad. There was so many people pumping out kits with no idea what they were doing. And yeah, yeah, things have improved a lot in 4 years. For the next 4 years, I'm going to see stuff like that the Prusa Mark II does with automatic calibration. That's going to become just normal. And also we're going to see more of a material development. So we're going to see filaments designed specifically for 3D printing that are extremely strong, high finish, and easy to print, easy to get support of. It's going to sort of consolidate down to something that just makes it easier to work, easier to do. Have I heard of the Zesty Nimble extruder? Yes, absolutely I have. I saw that Kickstarter last year. It's a neat idea. It's like combining the best benefits of a Bowden and a direct drive as a, I don't even know what they call it, like a wire that spins and that feeds a gear, a worm gear to extrude. Definitely look it up if you're interested. It's pretty cool. But I think at the moment the 3D printing accessories field is a little bit, I guess, populated. It's overcrowded, and it's really hard to sell a new technology like that in the current space. Any tips for selling 3D prints? Yep, the market has no idea what to expect out of 3D prints. If you're going to sell them an FDM print, they probably think that they're going to get something that looks injection molded. So make sure you establish the make sure you establish the expectation initially. So show them some preview prints that you haven't finished and be like, this is what it looks like. And if they're like, whoa, what about these lines? Can you get rid of them? Then say, no, I can't. And if they have a problem with that, walk away, because you're going to save yourself a world of pain. Do I have a favorite flexible filament? No. Well, I like TPU, but it's hard to print. And I also like Polyflex from Polymaker, but it's not elastic, it's just flexible. So no, I don't. It depends what I want to print and how much pain I want to go through to get that print working. Any thoughts on the Ultimaker 3 from Tony Kulam? Yeah, the Ultimaker 3 is a prosumer level machine. I don't think it even compares to most other machines in the current marketplace at the hobby level because of the price. But you do get what you pay for, and Ultimaker is kind of like the Apple of the 3D printing world. They've got their print cores and soluble supports and whatever. So it looks awesome. It looks like it works really well. I don't have one. I think Joel over at 3D Printing Node has one, and a few other people have seen them. And apparently it prints nylon really well, but I don't have much more to say about it because you rarely see them in Australia, because once you get them here, they are stupidly expensive. And even getting the filament here, like proper 2.85, not just 3, is hard to do in Australia. So yeah, they don't really exist much here. Mario, can I do an episode on adding auto level to the TAS 5? Sadly not, because I do not have a TAS 5 and I would not know where to start. New internet really brings out my eyes. Thanks, Sean. Unlikely, no worries. Thank you for joining. If you guys haven't seen Unlikely Creator's video channel, I'm going to shout you out, man. Check him out, because I really like his style, and he's a bit like Napoleon Dynamite meets 3D printing. I'm sorry, dude. That's your thing, and I love it. Definitely go check him out. He just passed 100 subscribers recently. NTW, what types of filaments have I printed on the Mark II? On the Mark II, I have printed predominantly PLA. I have printed some PETG. I don't think I've printed any ABS yet. And I haven't tried flexible beyond Polyflex, which does work, but it's, again, not elastic, it's just flexible. But I haven't gone too crazy because I don't want to break it. And yeah, the extruder, as I found in my review, is a little bit hard to get into because it's been designed to use less parts. So yeah, I'd definitely check it out. Definitely check it out. Sorry, I'm getting confused. Definitely watch for that. Am I straight? You're really hot. Sorry, I am definitely taken, but I appreciate the sentiment. Is there any good reflective or shiny PLA you recommend? Absolutely. I really like the Polyalchemy stuff. I haven't really found another filament that has the same level of a pearlescence, I suppose. And the guy who runs Polyalchemy is a really good dude. Judd, I met him in Shenzhen. And he made this LED RGB like lighting thing using waves of the Polyalchemy stuff. And it looks awesome. It looks like it's full like rainbow, and then he turns the LEDs off and it's just the white filament. So that's my favorite. In terms of getting like good shiny filaments, you can actually just use a clear PLA, and because of the refractions from the layers, it actually ends up looking like silver. So that's pretty cool too. If you just have clear PLA, you can get it to look pretty shiny. Matt, have I worked much with 32-bit controllers or my opinion on them? I haven't, though I believe the CraftBot runs something, it might only be 16-bit, but the CraftBot runs something faster than most other machines, and it definitely seems more responsive, but I haven't retrofitted anything. I'm not sure what the Cetus runs, actually. That's a completely proprietary mainboard, and it's definitely something pretty quick. But yeah, I haven't done any upgrades to previous machines. I'm keen to see how that Kickstarter goes, which was the ramps replacement for a faster MCU. I'm keen to see how that goes. Boris, do I own any Deltas? Can you recommend any general talk about Delta machines? The only Delta I run or own is the 101 Hero currently. I may have a Yeehaw 3D printer coming, which looks like a clone of the Tico, but it's not really. It's much larger. But I don't really have any. Yeah, I don't really have any Deltas. Thing to watch out for Deltas is calibration is a real pain. Getting it to be calibrated perfectly with a bed level and your arms and everything, that's not easy. Ashton, how do I build a large SLA printer cheaply? Well, it's kind of a contradiction because to have a large SLA printer, you'd need a large tub of resin, and the resin isn't cheap. You can't get around for that. There's the fun to do resin, which is cheaper, like $75 or $50 a litre maybe. But the larger you go, obviously, the larger volume, it increases exponentially. I saw SLA printers in China when I visited Shining 3D, which had 60-litre baths at the bottom. So that's 60 litres of resin. Yeah, that's your cost. The bulk of your cost is going to be your resin. IGES bearings, yes or no? I love IGES stuff quite a lot. I use an IGES slider for my sliding shots. But in terms of 3D printers, I don't know. They're designed to wear in, and they can get some slop, but they will definitely be better than the crap LM8 UUs that are shipping with printers now, because the quality control of them is terrible. But they're expensive for me to get here in Australia. So I haven't experimented with them on a 3D printer, but a lot of people run them, and a lot of people are happy with how much quieter they are. And also they'll resist dust and stuff a little bit better. Not that it's a big deal for 3D printers. Flesh-colored filament from Gav's Pants. Yes, you can get flesh-colored filament. Going back to Polygon Alchemy, they have like a flesh-colored shining one, and you can get it from some manufacturers, but I haven't looked into it for a while, but it does exist. If you want to print stuff for prosthetics, you can get flesh-colored filament. I need a glass of water. This is, my throat's dying. Am I still using the Robox or Robo 3D? I never had a Robo 3D, and the Robox was just a loaner unit. So I originally borrowed it from my previous work, and then Hobby King let me one to re-review it. But I still had a few print issues with it. Apparently they've become much better, and they have a dual material upgrade, which I really wish I could try, but I never got around to being able to. Seb is asking, is it safe to print more exotic filaments like nylon on a FlashForge Dreamer? Not sure how the extruder handles high temperatures. Yeah, it's not really a good idea. The FlashForge Dreamer has a Mark 10 style extruder with a PTFE lined hot end, which means it's got a piece of plastic in that hot end, which is PTFE. It's high temperature, but it's not going to be resistant to the temperatures you'd have to print at for nylon. You probably could get away with it for a little while, but it will degrade very quickly. Actually, it's worth keeping in mind. You might want to replace that on a 6-monthly basis anyway, because it does degrade just through normal printing. It goes all black and crap and sooty, and it's worth fixing. Have you noticed that YouTubers who constantly print 3D look like drug addicts? Well, I'm not sure what your definition of a drug addict is, but I can't really can't exactly relate to that image. Can you change infill orientation 90 degrees horizontal rather than vertical? I'm not sure what you mean by that. The infill and 3D prints need support under them, just like a normal 3D print would with support material. So you can't print, I guess you could bridge, but it would be pointless. Infill and 3D prints is usually just a line across, and they alternate at 90 degrees. So you can't really do that flipped on its side. Harley's asking, how long have I been involved with 3D printing? Just a question I've always wondered. So I've been 3D printing, oh God now. I started using it at university, second year. And that was probably in 2009, 2010. So was that 6 years, I suppose? But I never owned a printer till about 4 years ago because they were way too expensive. The first machine I ever bought was an Up Mini from Tier Time, and that was $1,500 when I bought it. But before that, I was using my uni's machines, which were Stratasys systems, and they were really, really expensive, even though they were only charging us the actual raw cost of the materials. The dark circles. And the dark circles is because I'm tired, and I'm terrible at waking up in the morning. It's only 10 a.m. Only 10 a.m. Have I seen the XYZ 3D printers and what do I think about them? Good question. So the XYZ DaVinci 3D printers are interesting because they've gone with a model that's more like a regular inkjet 3D inkjet printer where you have cartridges. For the most part, they do have an open one, but most of them are closed. And I can't really get behind that approach because, as we know, like to have to buy consumable at an overprice is annoying. But they're not too expensive and they are easy to use. So a lot of schools do have them, but they're not a tinkerer's machine. I wouldn't buy one if you're interested in learning how 3D printers work and that sort of thing. If you're a school, they're not a bad option, but I would personally go with an Up or a Robox. Will I ever review the Monoprice Maker Select Mini? They don't really sell them in Australia. Hobby King has them, but I'm waiting on their Tiny Boy 2 to come out. That's more interesting to me. I think there's enough YouTubers on YouTube who have reviewed the Monoprice Mini Maker Select to make a good informed decision. I don't think I need to do it. I've got enough machines to get through. Yeah, Cookie's asking, universities have 3D printers? Absolutely they do, dude. If you're interested in getting access to cutting edge technology and you don't want to spend any money, basically go to a university open day and make friends with the workshop staff in the university's either engineering or design workshops, because often they're there, they're passionate and they want to help people. Just be like, I love 3D printing and, I want to try this. Can you print this file for me? I'm really interested in going to this university. And I'd be more than happy to do it. And on the other token, I actually did my industrial design degree initially to get access to the workshop so I could build combat robots. Because the industrial design workshop at University of Technology Sydney is awesome and has like lathes and milling machines and all that sort of stuff. So I would go in on the holidays when no one was in, just the workshop staff were there, and I'd just build robots. So you can definitely get access to cool tech without having to do too much. Mr. Volpit's asking, how long does AliExpress take to ship to Germany from China? I have no idea why you'd think I would know that. AliExpress always takes weeks, so expect a month, basically. Trying to keep up, sorry. Kara Vusk is asking, will I ever finish my TiVo Tarantula review? I was just mentioning that earlier in the chat, that I'm currently rebuilding it to something else because I didn't like some of the design decisions in the machine, and that will be my part 2. So that will be at some point. Ashton, why has no one invented a 3D printer with a carbon fiber thread? They have. Check out the Mark Forged, Mark 1, and now Mark 2 3D printer. That is super cool. Tom Salandler, I'm sorry, Tom. I still can't say your name properly. He checked out a Mark 4, Mark 2 3D printer, and it takes a carbon fiber thread in along with nylon filament to actually make carbon fiber reinforced 3D prints. I know, how cool is that? I want one so bad to 3D print robots on, but they're really expensive, and he was pretty happy with it. It does a few quirky things as you'd expect, but it does exist. Logan, what's my favorite all-round 3D printer so far ever, forever, ever? I would say it comes in, like, depends what I'm printing, but I took the Cetus with me to Perth for Christmas on holidays because it was one of the only machines I could fit in my check-in luggage. And that printed the lattice cube I designed last year. I made a snowflake version. It printed that with no problems, and that just blew me away. It's PLA only. I keep gesturing because it's over there, but it's PLA only. But if I'm just printing PLA, I go to the Cetus because it's just so easy to use and it's light and I can move it. In terms of a machine that I've gotten like the most bang for my buck out of, that would be the Cocoon Create. Jeez, like that machine was at Aldi for $500 for one day. It sold out instantly. Kogan still has it in Australia for $400, I think. And I've modified the heck out of it. And I haven't even done any of the major modifications like Z stiffeners or anything like that. And it just prints really, really, really well for the price. Like almost unbelievably good for the price. So that'd be my two favorites. Then the Up Mini 2 is smashing out polycarbonate at the moment and nylon, which is nuts for a machine that's $500 US. So yeah, it does depend on what I'm printing, but they would be my trifecta. And also, of course, the Mark II. I've got to mention the Mark II. Anything I'm printing for tutorials, I'll stick on the Mark II because I don't have to worry about calibration. So they're the ones I've got set up at the moment because they're the ones I use the most. The others are kind of in storage because they're not as good. M3D dual carbon fiber filament. I'm not sure how to feel about that. It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say anything negative about M3D. Just seems to be not the machine I would put carbon fiber or print carbon fiber on. Yeah, Juicy. So basically, to fill everyone in, the new NBN is finally installed for those who came in late. And Juicy's commenting on an incident that happened a few weeks ago where I was using 4G and a Windows update snuck through. I have lots of machines, lots of computers. I was printing something on a Windows 10 laptop, forgot to turn the updates off, and it sucked down 10 gigabytes because I haven't turned on for months. So yeah, I actually went through about $500 worth of 4G in the last 2 months. I do it for you guys. I have to be on the internet. I have to upload videos, and 4G is, I calculated, to get the same value I have now in 4G would be $10,000. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Thoughts on the Fova 4D? Multicolor mixing is pretty neat. So for those who don't know, it's a multicolor 3D printer with I think 4 or maybe 5 color inputs. But beyond that, I don't really see a practical use of multicolor mixing. Maybe multi-material mixing, but not color. Okay, so Fragged Witless is saying the Cetus prints E3D's edge really well. I haven't tried that yet. I haven't tried much E3D stuff, to be honest. I might get in touch with them. It prints PLA perfectly. I wouldn't try PETG, but edge is interesting. It's a different thing altogether. Matt's Music, you mentioned robots a few times. Will we ever do a video on it? Yes, absolutely, very soon. And if you want some robot content, just hit up RoboWars Australia on YouTube and you'll find all my old tutorials where I showed people how to make robots and wire them. Now, I have to clarify, this does upset some people. They are not autonomous robots. They are remote controlled or tele-operated robots because they're combat robots. So they're a robotic platform that I put a remote control in instead of making them autonomous. Now, that upsets some people, but for me, it's the robot word is interchangeable between the two. You have autonomous and you have remote controlled. And then you have taught robots, like, you know, the arms in car factories. Jatman, $5, thanks, man. I already have one. I have this thing. Yay. Yeah, I'm so happy with the internet. It's just so much better now. HD Gamer Louis, what do I say about the ANET A8? I say it's been covered to death by many other people, so I'm not going to be getting one. There is multiple types of ANET A8s. Some are better than others, so do your research. I think the best one I've seen would be the Tronxy version of it, or Tron XY version of it, which I've forgotten who reviewed it. I'm sorry, there's so many channels now. Just search for that. But yeah, there's a lot of people who have covered it, and you get what you pay for. It's a good machine, but you need to do some mods on it. Ala's saying I print TPU on my Cetus. I'm going to have to try that because I don't believe you. Although my Cetus is pre-production before they change things. So it might not work for me and it might work for you. Not sure. Am I going to make an updated video for the cheapest possible printer from scratch? Yes, I am planning to resurrect the 404 Villain project, which is a clone of the 101 Hero. Now it's shipped and we all know it sucks. I'm going to resurrect that idea on making a cheap knockoff. But it's going to have to use real steppers. Let's be honest, guys. The stepper motors that those machines use are so crap. You may as well not even make a machine. So I'm going to have to find a solution between NEMA 14 and those ones, or NEMA 17. But yeah, I am going to resurrect that. 3D printer noob. Yes, absolutely. He's the one who did the Tronxy ANET A8 clone, whatever review. Go check his one out. Have I heard about the Cherry printer? Yes, we're going back on the cheap printers. Even the original maker of the Cherry 3D printer recommends to change to proper steppers, not the crappy geared ones because they die so quickly. But yeah, I'm going to do my own version, not like that one, but similar. Adrian's asking, have I ever modded the Mark II? Nope, it's completely stock. I haven't changed a thing. Even the crappy spool holder that I didn't like is still there. And that's just laziness, let's be honest. I haven't had time to change anything. But why would you change anything, to be honest? Apart from the spool holder, which could use some upgrades, the rest of the machine works good. Although I haven't only printed PLA, I haven't done anything crazy on it. And for that, it works like a champ. How are the supports going in the Up Mini 2 from Drop a Gear Disappear? Yes, the supports in the Up Mini 2 are awesome. Actually second to none, I'd say. But you need to get your temperatures right. So I've been printing this stuff. I'm going to do a video on it soon, but basically during Christmas, Hobby King had a ridiculous sale on Filament. So they are selling ABS for 1 kilo for $7 Australian, or $7 or $8 Australian, plus shipping. And because the warehouse is in New South Wales and it's near, I guess, nearish me, the shipping for 10 rolls was $10. This is Australian dollars as well, by the way, our dollary dues. So this prints at 230 degrees in the new Up Studio on the Up Mini 2 like a boss. It's insane how well it prints. I'm going to do a video on that because it's just ridiculous. I'm so happy with it. So anyway, moving on. Have I heard anything about the Sculpto 3D printer? Is that the Polar one? I haven't, if it is, I haven't seen anything recently about it. And also Aaron's asking what mods do I plan to add to the Prusa Mark II. I would like to add cable chains, absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest flaws. The bed and gantry needs some sort of support. Cable chains would be nice. Again, it's just time. The time I would invest into that, I can invest into new content, and the new content would benefit you guys a bit better because other channels have already covered those sort of upgrades. Any interest in doing Fusion 360 tutorials? Well, funny you should mention that. Absolutely. We're going to be smashing out Fusion tutorials. I've actually been in contact with Autodesk directly, and they are going to help out the channel in some way, and we are going to do so many Fusion 360 videos. It's going to be a bit like our 3D Printing 101 series, but it's going to be called CAD for Newbies. Yep. It's going to start at the low end, and also I'm going to do Fusion projects at the higher end just to show you guys how I use it. So definitely look out for that. I've been using Fusion loads recently. They've really come a long way in terms of making it easy to use, especially from someone who's used SolidWorks. It's a little bit more familiar now. Is the sale still on? Hobby King? No, it ended ages ago. Sorry. The sale was on pretty much till the start of January. It's like a Boxing Day sale. But they do have sales they are fairly often on their Filament. It's always worth checking out. Adelaide shipping will be a lot more expensive though, unfortunately. Noah's asking, does Polyflex stick to PLA? I want to make some hinges with flexible filaments. Yeah, it will actually. The same melting temperature. So Polyflex will stick to PLA, no issues. So if you have dual extrusion, you can do a dual extrusion hinge. That would be really cool actually. I don't have a dual extrusion printer I can test that on though. But that'd be a good option, combining the two, using the flexible interface with two rigid parts. If I was designing that, I would design in like a, I guess, puzzle locking shape that locks the two parts together. Don't just go from one interface to the other, because the more surface area you have, the more strength you'll get out of the two parts. Do I have any experience with Design Spark Mechanical? I don't. I never really looked into it. I've gone with Fusion, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately. I really like Fusion quite a lot. It works with mesh files really, really well. Harley's asking, do you 3D print full-time or do you have a day job as well? So, bit of backstory, I did work full-time at a 3D printing studio for about 2 years or 3 years, I guess, as well as a laser cutting studio. And I started reviewing machines on the channel mostly because I wanted to stop answering the same questions every day. I could direct people to a video instead of saying the same thing again and again. And that got popular. And then I decided to jump ship and go freelance industrial design. And as the channel's become more and more popular, I've phased out the industrial design freelance, and now I do this full time. So yeah, I do some other stuff, but mostly this, which is awesome. I get to do what I love. Did I ever use the China since I got it? I didn't use it much initially because it was very much a beta unit. But funny you should mention that, because China's are sending me some upgrade parts to bring my one up to the level of the production units. Then I will definitely be using it more, because the new version, the new extruder, has a tungsten nozzle, which is insane. Tungsten is what you want for printing abrasive filaments, because most the hardened nozzles on the market are very low thermal conductivity. Like a stainless steel nozzle is very low conductivity. So you need to print slower because it can't heat up as fast. Tungsten's much better and it's harder. So yeah, I'm pretty keen to try that on some really abrasive filaments like carbon filled and all that sort of thing. That's an interesting question. Nightcore's asking, do you recommend an i3 type printer or a replicator? I assume you mean like enclosed style. It goes both ways. The i3 ones tend to be better bang for your buck. There's less frame material, therefore they're cheaper. And also they ship in a smaller box. You don't have to pay for shipping air. But you'll get, I guess, more precision in a enclosed chassis. But that's not always true. Some machines like the replicator have axes hung off other axes. So even though the frame's rigid, the actual print extruder is just terribly designed and gets vibrations. I remember with my FlashForge Dreamer, when it was doing rapid infills, the print bed would go like that. It would really rapidly vibrate and you get artifacting. So not all of them are equal. You can get crappy i3s and good i3s, and you can get crappy enclosed machines and good enclosed machines. It does come down to the type, and I can't really make the choice, I guess, because there's too many on the market. I like the Cheaty Tech, that was a good little one, but that was a very small print volume for the size of the machine. Oh, cool. And apparently DDD Material is also shipping their M6 tungsten nozzles, which is good. It's a Kickstarter that hasn't failed. No, I shouldn't be as negative as that. It's a good project to kickstart, and a single item is worthwhile doing, and I'm glad they actually got that goal. Have I ever tried to print PETG on a glass bed? Not directly. I have heard from people that depending on your glass, it will often stick too well, and you'll get glass slivers coming off with your PETG. Richard over at Rich Wrap did an interesting experiment using glass, like I think screen protectors or something for printing PETG over glass because he was having that issue. But I would honestly recommend PEI, or I don't know, PETG's not really been an issue for me. I print on BuildTack or PEI and it seems to work flawlessly. Oh, also Garolite, which is G10 fiberglass. That also, if you warm it up, that will stick PETG down beautifully, really, really well. Brian, how do you tighten down grub screws without stripping the hex hole? I assume you mean the hex hole in the grub screws. You're using a crap Allen key and you're using a crap grub screw, that's why. So I would remove the grub screw and buy a grub screw that is not as terrible quality and get a Allen key specifically for that grub screw from a worthwhile company that is going to be a tighter tolerance, therefore you won't strip it, because the Chinese cheap Allen keys are crap And if you're using the ball end especially, they're not even hardened properly, you will absolutely strip it straight away. So upgrade those things and then you won't strip them. And also you don't need too much torque on a tiny grub screw. You might be over torquing it. Ellis is asking, does my Mark II bed rattle or vibrate really loudly during long movements? No, mine doesn't. It might be the linear bearings. I would stick some heavy duty grease on there. The Prusa comes with oil, but I would try something heavier. I like automotive grease, something you'd probably use for bushings in your robots. That would probably work pretty well. I tried that on the up box and that made it a lot quieter, although it's still very loud. Peter's saying PETG ruined the surface on your Lolspot Mini, or the PEI. Yes, it will. Don't heat it very much. Don't heat it up too much. It will definitely never come off. Adrian's saying it works on glass, no issues. All right, there you go. I find with 3D printing, there's so many ways to do things. Something that works well for some people just will not work for other people, and it's so many variables. Just do what works well for you. I've had people tell me that they print on MDF, and it works. I don't know why you would, but apparently it does. Ranty, what's my opinion on the Tico or the Flux Delta Plus? To be honest, I would look elsewhere at this stage, and yeah, that's where I'm going to leave that. Ashton, how do I learn CAD with a tutorial for free? Well, subscribe to this channel, which you are, which I appreciate, and look out for the CAD for Newbies videos, which are coming out soon. Fusion 360 also have their own range of tutorials as well on YouTube for free. The software is free if you're not earning, I think, 100K or more as a startup, which I'm definitely not. And it's free as if you're in educational space, so if you're a student or a teacher, and that's probably the one to go with. Oh, there was a question about NEMA 17s. Oh, there we go. Do you think that NEMA stepper gaskets are beneficial for sound dampening and vibration? I've only ever used them. They come stock on the CraftBot Plus, and the CraftBot Plus is still very noisy in my opinion. So I don't know if they work very well. Some people will probably have different opinions. I've always wondered if it affects your accuracy, because then the motor's a little bit loose. I'm not sure. I'm sure they do something beneficial, but I've never really seen a big change. It's better to put the printer on a vibration absorbing mat, like a foam mat, like you can see this. That makes it far quieter than anything you change in the printer itself. Right, there's Ellis guy from the TV thing. Yeah, aren't you on that Boodlebots show? Oh man, sorry. Yes, someone mentioned the Beast from Queensland. Oh, New South Wales. I thought they were in Queensland. The Beast 3D printer is insanely huge. I got in touch with them a while ago to print something for me, and then they sort of went quiet. Maybe they were just too busy fulfilling rewards. I haven't looked into it too much. It's a massive machine. It's stupidly huge. But yeah, I haven't been in touch with them too much. Rob is thinking of buying a Zortrax M200. Do I have any thoughts on it? I thought they were going to send one to me because they said they wanted me to compare it with a Duplicator 6, but then they went quiet. Not that I really care. But Joel, the 3D printing nerd, has a review on the M200. You're buying into a closed system like the UPS, like from Tier Time. It's a closed slicer. It's a closed ecosystem. You can't use open source slicers, but they do work pretty darn well, especially for ABS. So yeah, you could go wrong. You know, you could do worse, I suppose, especially if you want ABS. Sorry, trying to find something. Have I seen the slicer for Fusion 360? No, I haven't. I've seen the slicer for the 3D Print Studio, whatever they call it, Print Studio from Autodesk. It may be the same thing. Oops. From what I understand, Autodesk is combining all of their bits of pieces of 3D printing software into Fusion 360. So Meshmix is combining with it, and I assume Print Studio will as well. But yeah, I haven't tried that yet. I'm pretty keen to check it out. Stop asking about the ANET A8. Jeez, I'm not reviewing the ANET A8. There's already enough people reviewing it. Just Google ANET A8 review. It's a kit. You get what you pay for. It's simple as that. What would it cost to print something like a house or a boat? Which I also could afford. Yeah, it would. There is machines that can print houses. They are pretty much concrete gantry cranes, which are computer controlled, and they just pipe out concrete line by line, and they make a house. China's investing a lot of money into that kind of thing. There's a few companies there. It's not a bad idea to look into for, like, they're looking at for space exploration and stuff, building structures using, you know, the stuff from the moon. But to print a house with a normal 3D printer, you would be there for a while, and it would be terrible. It would be the most, or like the most garish looking thing, with every block being a different bright color. Cookie's asking what mic and camera I'm using. I'm using the Rode SmartLav Plus, plugged into my laptop through OBS, and I'm running a C920 webcam, which I've had for, this is the first camera I got for recording video on my channel. I have some sun, but I've also got a light pointing at the wall to give me a bit of light. This room doesn't get a massive amount of sun. 3D print anything. Do I print ABS with an air filter? No, well, the Up Mini 2 and the Up Box have a HEPA filter built in, but it doesn't have activated charcoal, so I think it does very little to cut down any dangerous fumes. But there's been a lot of controversy on this, and honestly, my fallback argument, and no one's been able to fight against this, is that people have been injection molding ABS plastic for probably 100 years. I don't know when ABS was invented, but they've been injection molding it for an exceedingly long time, and I haven't seen any news articles of, you know, ABS cancer sweeps the nation like we saw with asbestos and, you know, black lung and all these sort of other things. So I haven't seen any proof that, apart from maybe losing a sense of smell temporarily when exposed to ABS fumes, I guess. So if they're doing that on an industrial scale and they're not dropping dead like flies, how am I going to have any issues when I'm printing tiny amounts of it now and then? That's my argument. I'd like to see any, I guess, research into that. Any reputable research. Mohammed is saying, I have the capability to start professionally manufacturing filament. Do you think it's a good idea? Mate, I'll be completely honest with you, and I will say no, because the market is completely flooded with manufacturers of filament now. And you're not going to find, you're going to have to try really hard to find a niche, either on price point, which is always difficult, or on quality, or on like a certain finish. So unless you can do something unique like Protopasta does or Polyalchemy does with their shiny filaments, or, you know, Protopasta with their metallic filaments, I would not recommend it. Yeah, Sebastian's right. HEPA will do nothing for fumes. It's mostly just to placate people. It will get particles out, but then the printer's not really making particles, is it? What do I think about the Fab Mini V2 that's supposedly on the way? Yes, I'm glad you asked. I have some insider information about the Fabricator version 2. Fabricator Mini version 2. So you might have noticed it's an M100 from Malian, which you can currently buy from China. But, this is the big but, Hobby King is rebranding that machine, but they're also heavily modifying some components. So the machine you would buy from Hobby King as the Fabricator version 2 is going to be different to the M100 you can buy as the Malian M100. So that's why it's delayed. It's not delayed because of any other reason, it's delayed because they're changing things. So keep that in mind if you're going to buy them. I am definitely testing out the Fabricator Mini version 2 when Hobby King gets one, but that's why it's not out yet, and the other one is. So yeah, there you go. I hope I was allowed to say that. I didn't sign anything. They can't get me. Industrial scale ABS injection molding does use air filters. Okay, that'll be interesting. So if they're using activated charcoal air filters, then I am happy to take back my statement. But I have visited injection molding plants before, and although they did have air conditioning systems, I didn't see any major air filtration systems. But I may be wrong. I'm more than happy to be. It's all about learning. What do I recommend about someone building a printer from scratch? I hope you're ready for the long haul, because that printer isn't going to work for quite some time. It's a very steep learning curve. By all means, if you want to learn a large amount about engineering, electronics, programming even for firmware, do it. But if you want a printer that works, don't do it. Buy a cheap machine, $300 or so, and then also make the kit. So you're printing as a hobby or a tool. Do you want a 3D printer to print stuff? Then it's a tool. You want to have a printer that's already working. Do you want a printer as a hobby? Then by all means do whatever you like. Make it from scratch, build a kit. You will learn a massive amount, but don't expect a reliable machine anytime soon. You can get them reliable, absolutely, but it's going to take some time. Mafia? How low can I go with print speed? You can go as low as you like, dude. You can go down to 5 millimeters per second if you like. No, it's no problem. It's just it means it's going to take a long time. The 101 Hero can only print at a maximum of 15 millimeters per second, which is stupid slow. So yeah, you can go as slow as you like. Oh, how low? Yeah. Yes. There you go. I answered your question. Thought I got confused about layer heights as well. You can do any layer height you like as well. You can do a 0.01, like 10 micron print if you like, layer heights. But you're going to hit a few hardware limits at that size. Yeah, and Chuck over at Chet 3D Printing, also absolutely, the Fab Mini 2 will be a lower price than the Malian M100 because they have the ability to buy a massive amount of stock at one time, because that's what Hobby King does. What's the worst they can do? Not send me a review unit. Oh, yeah. No, it would probably be just a loaner. Their local New South Wales office is pretty close by. Honestly, at this stage, I don't want to keep printers, but I can't give them away because there's safety issues with a lot of them, and I don't want to be liable if something goes wrong. Best printer kit sub $1,000. Well, yeah, I mean, the Prusa Mark II would probably be that one because you get the calibration. But that's also the most expensive kit I can think of at this stage. Can you make 3D printed backlit keycaps? You totally could, actually. FDM might not be precise enough, though. You'd have to try pretty hard, and it's a difficult shape. I like to follow the Pedro brothers, the Adafruit guys who do 3D printing, and they do some really good tutorials. They did a 3D printed keycap video a while ago, and they used the Form 3D printer. I think it was the Form 1 back then. And they've done some cool stuff with 3D printed keycaps. I'm really glad the mic's working. It's a cheap mic, it's just got a bit of noise cancellation. Have I tested the Ultimaker 3? No, I haven't, as I mentioned before. Check out Joel's channel. Yep, heard anything about the 101 Hero? As I was saying earlier, I think the 101 campaign has gone on a spiraling decline into, yeah, I think they are pretty screwed. A lot of people are getting machines that are non-functional and they're not getting any correspondence. So if you haven't gotten the 101 Hero yet, you might be out of luck, sadly. They did that whole Indiegogo extra campaign. I have no idea why they did that. Dion, I should get a buck for every time someone asks what's the best printer. I will say this now, guys, for you watching. If you contact me asking what printer should I get, I usually won't reply. And it's not, please don't take it in any disrespect. It's because I get asked that question hundreds of times a day. And I cannot honestly make that call for you because I don't know your situation. I don't know what you're trying to print. Are you printing small things, large things, PLA, ABS, temperature resistance? What's your budget? Where do you live? What sort of support do you require? Do you want a kit or assemble? I can't make that call for you, so I will rarely answer, and I do apologize for that. It's just how it is. Zebra plate or PEI for bed adhesion? I've tested both. I will honestly say they have benefits and drawbacks. The zebra plate makes it easy to pop parts off, but because it's so thick, it can throw off calibration. So PEI is better for that. And in my experience, PEI is probably edges it out slightly in terms of the reliability because the surface is thinner, it's dead flat on your print bed, and you can get better temperature conductivity through it because it's thinner, so you can print higher temperature materials. Zebra plate's better for PLA, I think, whereas PEI, you'll get away with some higher temperature materials. What's the worst printer? I can definitely answer that question. So a little while ago, Dion the 3D printer sent me a Buccaneer 3D printer from Pirate 3D. And out of the box, it just didn't work. I still have that. I will still try to get it working. But basically, Buccaneer was a 3D printer campaign that just went belly up. You can buy them now. I mentioned it in my recent Kickstarter video. They still sell them. They even have a new version, which is stupid, but most of the backers never got anything. And it's just a terribly designed machine. So bad. You put it on the table and the whole thing wobbles because the plastic's so crap. So yeah, that's my worst one. Just regarding the Tarantula, yeah, there was never a second version because I ran into several issues about the kit. And I guess when I got it, the instructions stopped at step 7. And the only way to finish it would be to follow a video tutorial of a guy making it himself. There was a big community of parts, but it was very hard to find out which ones to use. So basically, I could have finished it as it was designed, but at the moment, I'm redesigning it into something else. So you'd be able to buy a Tarantula, and instead of assembling the Tarantula, you can assemble a different printer. So yeah, that's going to be my part 2, basically. It's good parts. I just didn't like the design, and I'm going to be designing something else with it. Well, I've already started to design something else with it. Someone's seriously asking about the 101 Hero. Watch my review, then you'll know my thoughts. Hasn't changed. Chep's asking about a acrylic bed. Yeah, actually, that's pretty cool. You can print onto acrylic, but if you get your nozzle height wrong, you're going to forever weld your part to the acrylic because it will melt into it. So the Blocks Zero from Blocks Tech has a frosted acrylic bed, and I printed one piece a bit too close and forever damaged that surface. But it doesn't need to be heated, and it does stick PLA down like the Dickens. It will also stick ABS down, but you're going to have a permanent little base for it because the ABS will never come off the acrylic. You can also use polycarbonate as well. Honestly, if you're going that route, I would just go with PEI. PEI is the higher temperature out of all of them, and it is much lower slip, much lower. I guess the release of the parts is easier on the PEI versus any of the other plastics. No newfound love for the 101 Hero. No. Look, I don't hate it. It does function, but it's an art piece and a conversation piece rather than a 3D printer. Let's be honest, it's the first ever toy 3D printer that actually exists, which is cool. And the prints off it are interesting, but they have zero purpose beyond just looking interesting. The accuracy is rubbish. There's no way you can print anything at all precise on it. And it's slow, and yeah. That's the 101. No, it's not a good 3D printer to start with. No, not at all. Get a Wanhao i3 version 2.1. If you have a low budget, I just recommended that to one of my buddies in the UK, and he's super happy with it. ETA, few weeks for the Tarantula video, I'd say. Yeah. I guess that's it. Look, I'll be honest. I think a large part of the community around these kit printers is because it is a hobby. And I totally respect that. Upgrading things and tinkering with things is fun. And if you enjoy that, by all means buy a cheap kit. don't expect it to work out of the box. But if you want to upgrade it to make it work by putting carbon fiber brackets and 3D printing parts and buying new extruders and upgrading electronics, then do it. If you enjoy it, do it. Don't let me stop you. It's just, for me, I see 3D printing as more of a tool. So if a printer doesn't work as intended, I view that negatively. And also I have safety concerns over various things for 3D printers like thermal runaway and mains voltages. That's just me as someone who has worked in the education space with 3D printers. I don't like to see that. But if you're a tinkerer and you don't care about that, that's fine. Absolutely. I guess a lot of people get confused about that. 3D printing can be a hobby or a tool, and my word is not the be all end all. It's just an opinion. Even my reviews are an opinion. It's just how I see things. No, my buddy in the UK doesn't look like me. Trav printed the trolley cart keys. Yeah, our local Aldi has those. I was thinking of printing one out so I can get all the $1 coins from people who are too lazy to return them back to base. Noah asking about the polyalchemy filaments. Yeah, they are pretty cool. It's not transparent. I'll show you a roll here. One sec. All right. So this is the polyalchemy elixir natural. It's not transparent, but it will be translucent if you print it with a single wall. So if you print it with a 0.4mm nozzle and a single wall, it is clear enough to shine lights through, and it transmits it really nicely. It's got a really nice shine to it. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Nice rolls as well. It's my UK buddy Gary. No, it's not. Although I probably do know a Gary. Felix is asking, speaking of cheap kits, how would one fix his board if you've messed up the firmware upgrade? It depends how badly you've messed up the firmware upgrade. If you've destroyed the bootloader, then you're done, at least unless you get another Arduino or something. But if you just need new firmware, find the community online, and you should be able to flash new firmware to it pretty easily using the Arduino IDE. I'm assuming it's running one of those ramps style boards or the rebuilds of it, like the MKS base style boards. You should be able to get a firmware upgrade onto it pretty easily like that. Velocity painting. Mario, I've never heard of velocity painting. I heard of neo sanding, which I'm going to look into at some point. I've never heard of velocity painting. I will check that out. Can I do a review of the Filamentum filament? Yeah, I can actually. The guys at Filamentum sent me some rolls, and I've been trying it out on quite a few prints, and it prints really, really good. I'm absolutely happy with it. So if they're local and you've been thinking about buying some, don't hesitate. It's perfectly good PLA. And they've got some other cool ranges of filaments as well, which I haven't tried yet, like an ASA, which is sort of like ABS, but better resistant to UV degradation, and a Flex as well, which I didn't have the best success with, but I think the temperatures for the bed weren't high enough. But the PLA is awesome, really good. Ever print it with PMMA filament? I've never heard of PMMA filament. You have to remember, filaments can be completely clear. They can be water clear. Like some good PETs are water clear. You look at a water, like a bottle of a soft drink or a water bottle, it's clear. But when you print it, it's not the clarity that ruins it. It's the interference and the refraction of those layers, because it's like little lenses, the little tiny, it's like frosting it, I guess. Little lenses on the outside of your print, which stop it looking clear. So if you want to print clear prints, you have to print like pretty much almost 100% infill, so there's no air bubbles, and really thick layers. And then you run into various other issues. Unless you can smooth it, but PET doesn't smooth very well. Unless you want to use chemicals that will also smooth your lungs. They're pretty dangerous. Carl, if I haven't done it already, I should put a micro swish hot end on my Wenhao. I did buy one from Bilby 3D in New South Wales and put it on my i3 Plus to print high temperature, high abrasive filaments. I did have to print a little bit slower because of the thermal conductivity, and I haven't, actually that machine's not even here. It's still in my parents' place. I took over their storeroom to just put all this other stuff, and the i3 Plus is there. Yeah, I don't drink coffee. I don't like hot drinks. I do like cold coffee, but I prefer energy drinks. I know it's a terrible thing, so shoot me. Catborg, you've pretty much replicated my setup. So you're printing with Ninja Flex, the Flexion on PrintBite on the Cocoon Create. That's exactly what I run. That's like identical. I have the PrintBite with the Flexion, and yeah, and I was printing green Ninja Flex. That's awesome. Apparently Flexion, they have their new high temperature extruder, and I'm going to get one at some point. But apparently the coupon code for my previous video still works on that. I'm not sure the Flexion guys know about that. But yeah, that's one to put out there if you want to try to look into upgrading for a high temperature version. Okay, Make a Noob has a video on velocity painting. I will check it out. I'm always open to new cool tricks. So Thomas, Wanhao or Prusa i3 for first kit? Depends how far your budget extends. If you can afford the Prusa, it's a better machine with the automatic leveling, saves you a bit of pain. If you can't afford the Prusa, you'll still get good prints with the Wanhao, a little bit of tweaking. They're pretty comparable really in that regard. One machine's higher quality than the other, but the price difference is pretty steep depending on where you are. Sponsor for an energy drink. Yeah, I'm not sure any energy drink companies would be interested in sponsoring a 3D printing channel. They might, but I don't know. I'm trying to switch to the sugar-free ones, but I like these. They're good. They haven't been in Australia for too long. Matt is asking, is Simplify 3D really worth it for the hobbyist? Yes, maybe. Going back to the hobby or a tool thing, if you're investing money to upgrade your printer and buy fancy filaments, the one-off cost for Simplify 3D does sound expensive. I will be honest, I originally bought it for work reasons when I was working at a 3D printing studio. That's when I got it first. That's why I knew it was good. But as a hobbyist, it is a steep price, but it's a one-off price. So if you have been printing for a while and you're not going to stop anytime soon, I would go for it when you have the cash to spare, and then you just never have to worry about it again. The multiple processes is awesome. But again, I am a little bit biased because I do work with them for Simplify 3D 101 videos. So although I did originally use it out of my own, I guess, because I originally bought it for work, I know how to use it. I know how to use it really well. But if you're just a hobbyist who, I guess your printer is very cheap as a kit, you might find it hard to justify. In that case, I would probably say it's a really good Christmas present. That's how I used to get things I wanted when I couldn't afford it, like robot parts. It's a good birthday or Christmas present. You can get someone else to buy it, and then you never have to worry about it. It's a permanent license. And it runs on two computers. Waffle Man, what's your go-to PLA? I tend to go with eSun just out of habit, but honestly, I go with anything. eSun, Hobby King's house brand, Filamentum. I even got my own rolls commissioned once. Like everything pretty much works. You're going to be really hard pressed to find a PLA now that doesn't work. In 2017, if a filament manufacturer can't make filament that works, then they're pretty much just a shoddy company and will go under very quickly. So most companies make good filament now. You'd have to try really hard to go wrong. Do you get upgrades to Simplify 3D after you buy it? Yes, you get like a login to their cloud, whatever, and every time they upgrade it, you just download a new version. You don't have to. It's not like SolidWorks where you need to pay like a technician, what do they call it, maintenance fee to upgrade. Screw that. You just buy it once. That's a good point, Luke. So Polymaker is running a contest at the moment, which is they call it the I Want to Print contest. I can't direct anyone to it. I'll be honest, I work with Polymaker a lot. They're a really good company. I haven't looked hugely into the competition, but basically they wanted a guest judge, and you can print anything basically. It does have to be exclusive to that competition though, and then we get to vote on it, and you can win Filament. So there was a few terms and conditions some people were worried about. I wouldn't worry too much. Polymaker's not out there to steal your ideas. But if you want to win some free Filament or even a polisher unit, then definitely check out that competition. I have to finish up soon. I'm losing my voice. That's not a good sign. How often do I swap nozzles? Very rarely, actually. I try to look after my nozzles, and I have 0.4mm drill bits I use to clean them out. So yeah, I think the only machines I've ever swapped nozzles on were my original Up Minis, because I bought a second one, and that was probably after 2 years of use. So as long as your environment isn't dusty and you use good filament, you don't run crap through it, you're going to be okay for a while. Also, never let PLA or other filaments just like singe in a nozzle while it's preheating for hours on end, because that will form a blockage of char, and that's how you destroy nozzles. Yes, Thomas, I am absolutely satisfied with my faster internet now. Are you guys satisfied? Like, this seems to be pretty reliable. It hasn't dropped out. I'm only on my Wi-Fi running to the NBN, which is good. So it is literally 40 times faster than what I used to have. So I'm pretty happy. Have I tried to print with nylon? Did it succeed? Yes, I print with nylon on the Up Mini too. It works good, but the problem with nylon is it absorbs moisture. So you're going to end up, unless you print quickly out of the, unpack it, then print, it's going to absorb moisture and you're going to get bubble and spitting and stringing, and it goes all horrible. But you do need a heated enclosure. So, where is it? So the Up Mini prints on this stuff. This is a fiberglass sheet with holes, which is why the live hinge has that pattern at the bottom, because I printed it directly on, and that keeps it stuck down, because nylon warps worse than ABS actually. That's pretty hard. What camera is this? This is the Panasonic Lumix G7, which I bought when I went to China, or before I went to China last year for my trip, as the main camera, and it is my main camera for the channel now. And I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest. It's got the screen that flips out so I can film myself. The mic is okay, but some of you guys might have picked up on the hinge video I did yesterday. There's a bit of echo, so it's not great for this room. So I might have to go back to using the lapel mic, but the quality is fantastic. I love that camera. All right, a couple more questions that I'm going to have to finish up, guys, but I really do appreciate it. Catborg, have I ever tried the Holgertech FT5 or Creality CR10? I haven't tried either of those, but I do know Preston over at Press Reset has both of them. So he would be the guy to ask, definitely. Yeah, I think someone was talking about extruding your own filament. Yeah, making your own filament. No, it's not worth it at all. I've gone through various reasons why before, but basically look up how filament is made on YouTube. There's a few really good videos, and you'll see just the effort that goes into making precise filament. It is not easy, and it's drawn, not extruded. They pull it out of a larger nozzle at a certain speed to get the diameter. So yeah, very hard, and it's not worth it if you're printing for 10 hours and then the print jams because your filament wasn't good enough. That's terrible. All of Australia is upgrading its internet. All of Australia is upgrading its internet. That is so ridiculous. They're not, actually. Everyone's getting fiber to the node if they're lucky, which is where they disconnect the fiber to the local exchange, and then it runs through copper, so you can't get fast internet speeds anyway. This premises we got specifically because it has NBN fiber to the premises, which was created maybe 4 years ago under Labor, more actually. And we had to hook it up ourselves, which is why it took so long. But it's the only way to get fast internet in Australia without laying your own optical cable, optical fiber from the interchange, which sucks. Australia is so far behind the rest of the world in terms of internet speeds. Cool. All right, guys, I may have to finish up, but I really, really do appreciate you joining. And as always, I have to thank my patrons for the constant ongoing support. You guys are amazing. You make this possible. And now, thanks to your support, you're helping me cover this better internet. So, I'm not using the 4G anymore, but now I'm paying for this NBN plan, which means I can upload content so much faster, like 4 minutes versus 2 hours, 3 hours. And I can do these streams as much as I like. So I'm going to be doing a lot more streams. So don't worry about that. I will be back. This was more just to test the waters to see how the bitrate goes. And clearly it's flawless. So I'll be scheduling a lot more streams in future. So don't miss that. So as everyone says, smash that like button. I really do appreciate it, and have a fantastic Friday evening or Saturday morning or in between, wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to seeing you again very shortly. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you later. Bye. Now I need to turn it off. Where's the button? All right, there it is. See you later, guys.